Hi guys, and welcome to the 2024 WAEC Mathematics Past Question Solutions. So I'm going to be solving questions number 1 to 50, and we are going to start with question number 1 that says multiply 3.4 times 10 raised to the power minus 5 by 7.1 times 10 raised to the power 8 and leave the answer in standard form. All right, so how do we go about this? So first of all, we are going to multiply these two numbers, 3.4 by 7.1, and then we would also multiply 10 raised to the power 5 by 10 raised to the power 8. Okay, so let's move forward. So 3.4 times 7.1, when you punch your calculator, you are going to get 24.14. All right, and on the other hand, 10 raised to the power minus 5 times 10 raised to the power 8. This is the same base, so we can add their powers, equals to 10 raised to the power minus 5 plus 8, which is 10 raised to the power 3. All right, so now looking back at this number 24.14, we need to convert it to standard form. To convert it to standard form, we need to move our decimal points here to be between the first two digits. So the first two digits are 2 and 4. So I need to move my decimal points to come back. All right, it needs to come backwards here. All right, so how many steps do I need to move my decimal points? It's just once. All right, so since I moved it just once, I'm going to multiply it with a times 10 raised to power 1 because I moved it just once and I moved backwards direction. So if you move backwards, it will be a positive power. But if I was moving forward, it would have been a negative power. For example, if I was to move this decimal point forward, it would be minus 1. But since I moved backward, it's just 1. So at the end, I'm having 2.414 times 10 raised to power 1 also times this 10 raised to power 3. So that gives me 2.414 times 10 raised to power 1 plus 3. So I'm adding these two together because the bases are the same. So that gives me 2.414 times 10 raised to power 4. That's my option C. All right, so welcome to question 2. Question 2 says, given that P is a set where 1 is less than P is less than 20, P is an integer. What that means, they are telling you that P is an integer that lies between 1 and 20. So from 2 to 19, all the numbers or integers from 2 to 19, that is what is in the set of P. And then arrow, for the set of arrow, we are told that arrow is less than or equal to 0 and is less than or equal to 25. So from 0 to 25, arrow is a multiple of 4. So all the multiples of 4 between 0 to 25 are in the set of arrow. So let's write this out one by one. So for the set P, we are told that it is all the numbers between 1 and 20. So for this set of P, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So these are all the numbers or elements in the set of P. All right. And then for arrow, we have that for arrow, since arrow is a multiple of 4, so what are the multiples of 4 between 0 and 25? So the multiples of 4 between 0 and 25, let's go. We have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and that's it. All right. So these are the elements in set P and arrow. The question tells us to find P intersection arrow. Find P intersection arrow. What P intersection arrow means is just look for the elements that are present both in P and in arrow. So if you look at it, we have 2 here, but you cannot find 2 in arrow. There's 2 here, but there's no 2 downwards. There's 3 here, there's no 3 downwards, like that. So only the ones that are common that we are going to take. So if you see, we have 4, we also have 8, we have 12 common, we have 16 common. So is there any other common set? I don't think so. So it means that this P intersection R that we are told to find is 4, 8, 12, and 16, which is option B. All right, so welcome to question number 3. It says that the first term of an arithmetic progression is 2 and the last term is 29. If the common difference is 3, how many terms are in this AP? All right, so from the question, we are given that the A or the first term, which is A, is 2, and we are also given the common difference is what? 3. We know the formula for n terms of an AP, un is equals to A plus n minus 1D. All right. And now in this case, we are given the 29th term of the sequence. We are given the last term rather of the sequence. We don't know the last term, but we know that the answer is 29, right? So we are also given our A. Our A is given to us as 2 plus. Now, what are we looking for? We are looking for how many terms are in the AP, which is our n. So my n is going to remain here. That's what I'm looking for. N minus 1 times the common difference, D, which is 3. All right. So if I collect like terms, I'm going to have 29 minus 2 is equals to n minus 1 times 3. 29 minus 2 is 27 is equals to n minus 1 times 3. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3 to cancel out that 3. And I'll have 3 cancelling 3 here. And 3 into 27 is 9. So I'm going to have that 9 is equals to n minus 1. So when I collect like terms, I'm going to have that 9 plus 1 is equals to n. So 10 is equals to n. All right, which is option C. Question number 4 says, express this in index form. Log to the base a of x plus log to the base a of y is equals to 3. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to try and represent this 3 in log to the base a. So we know that when we have something like this, if I have log to the base a of a raised to the power 3 is the same thing as 3. Why do I say so? Because all of this is equals to 1. And also, I can also take the power of this a raised to the power 3. I can take this power to become the coefficients. So if I have log to the base a of a raised to the power 3, it's the same thing as 3 log to the base a of a. And log to the base a of a is 1. All right. So I'm going to represent, instead of writing this 3 here, I'm going to replace it with log to the base a of a raised to the power 3. All right. So if I do that, what I'm going to have, I'm now going to have log to the base a of x plus log to the base a of y is equals to log to the base a of a raised to the power 3. All right. And also, with from our knowledge of the addition rule, when two logarithms in the same base are adding up together, like here, log to the base a of s and log to the base a of y, they are both in logarithm of base a. When they are adding up, I can write it as log to the base a of x times y, which will be xy. All right, is equals to log to the base a of a raised to the power 3. So now that I have equal bases, the basis on the left hand side of the equation is the same as or rather the logarithm and the base, yeah, is the same. I can easily strike out the logarithm on both sides now to give me that xy is equals to a raised to the power 3, option C. Now let's look at question number 5. It says simplify 2p minus q squared minus p plus q squared. Now, if you look at these two terms, you will see that this is a square and this is also a square. And what are the two squares doing? They are subtracting each other. So this is a case of difference of two squares where you have a square subtracting another square. And we know that mathematically, when you have a square minus b square, that is two squares subtracting each other, is equals to a plus b times a minus b. All right. So it is this same knowledge, this same formula I'm going to apply. So the whole of this 2p minus q is going to be like my a, and the whole of p plus q is going to be like my b. All right. So I'm going to apply this formula the difference of two squares formula to simplify this equation. So I'm going to have, so my first term will be equals to, since it's difference of two squares, I'm going to have 2p minus q, that's my a, is going to plus b, all right, plus p plus q. So this is one side of the bracket times the other side of the bracket, a minus b. So I'm now going to have my a, which is my 2p minus q, all right, minus the b, which is p plus q, all right. So now I can simplify. So let me open the brackets. I'm going to have here 2p minus q plus p plus q. That's what I have in the first bracket. And then in the second bracket, I have 2p minus q minus p minus q. All right. So let us simplify further, starting with this first bracket. If you collect like terms, you have 2p plus p minus q plus q into brackets 2p minus p minus q minus q. All right. So coming down to this first bracket again, what is 2p plus p? That's equals to 3p. What is minus q plus q? It cancels out. All right. So I have just 3p, all right, in the first bracket. And in the second bracket, what is 2p minus p? That's just p, 1p, all right. All right. Minus q, that's minus 2q. So my final answer is 3p into p minus 2q, which is option A. So you need to be able to identify two squares that are subtracting so that you know when to use your difference of two squares formula. Okay, so we are at question number 6. All right. So question number 6 says if bracket open 3 minus 4 root 2 bracket close bracket open 1 plus 3 root 2 is equal to a plus b root 2. Find the value of b. All right. So what it means is that we are going to expand this bracket, and whatever we get, present the answer, look this, so that whatever term we have here is going to be our b. So let's proceed. So 3 minus 4 root 2 into brackets 1 plus 3 root 2. If you expand this, you are going to have 3 into 1 plus 3 root 2, then minus 4 root 2, that's the second part, into 1 plus 3 root 2. All right. So I'm going to continue here. All right. So if I expand this bracket, what am I going to have? 3 times 1 will be 3 plus 3 times 3 root 2. Only the number 3, we multiply this number outside. The roots will remain the same. All right. So that will give you 9 root 2 minus, let's go to the next side. 4 root 2 times 1 is 4 root 2. All right. Then minus 4 root 2 times plus 3 root 2. First of all, the numbers will multiply. So what is minus 4 times plus 3? That's minus 12. So minus 12. Then secondly, you multiply the roots. Root 2 times root 2 is 2. So that's minus 12 times 2. All right. That is giving you minus 12 times 2. So I have 3 plus, what is 9 root 2 minus 4 root 2? Since the roots are the same, 2 root 2, you can easily subtract them. 9 minus 4 is 5. That will be 5 root 2 minus 12 times 2. All right. So if I collect like terms, I'm going to have 3 minus 24 plus 5 root 2. What is 3 minus 24? That's minus 21 plus 5 root 2 is my final answer. So if you compare this answer with this a plus b root 2, if you compare it with a plus b root 2, you see that your a is minus 21 and your b is 5, which is what we are told to find the value of b. So the answer is 5. All right, so welcome to question number 7. It says find the time for which $1,250 will amount to $2,031 0.25 cents at 12.5% per annum simple interest. All right. So the first thing I ask myself is, what is the formula for simple interest? I know that simple interest is equals to I, or interest is equals to principal times the rate times the time over 100. All right. Now the question says we should look for time. We are looking for time. We are given the principal in the question, $1,250. We are given the rate, 12.5. So all we need to do is to make T the subject of the formula first of all. So doing that, I'm going to first of all cross multiply, and I have that P RT is equals to 100 times I, which is the interest. So if I divide both sides, T will be equals to 100 I all over the principal times the rate. All right. So I have the principal and the rate as earlier mentioned, but the interest I wasn't given in the question directly. So however, from your understanding of what interest means, you can get it from the question. If you see the question says, how long will it take $1,250 to become 2031? So what is interest? Interest is simply the extra money that is added on top of the principal after a certain period of time has passed. So if you notice this amount, it moved from 1,250 to 2031. So whatever is the extra money that was added to get 2031 is your interest. So if you go to your calculator and you press 2031.25 minus 1,250, the value you get will be that of your interest. All right. So the interest will be equals to 781.25. So now that we have gotten our interest, we can come back to this formula and use it to solve. So it means that our time is equals to 100 times 781.25 all over the principal, which was given in the question, 1,250, times the rate, which is 12.5. So when you punch all of these in your calculator, you multiply the up and multiply the down and you divide. You are going to get a total of 5 years as the time, which is option D. Welcome to question number 8. All right. Now question number 8 says, if log to the base 3 of 2x minus 1 is equals to 5, find x. Now this is very simple. Remember that one of the laws of logarithm says if you have log to the base x of a equals to b, then it simply means that x raised to the power b is equals to a. All right. So just take it as the base pushing this answer upwards. So the base comes here as a full number. It will be equals to a. All right. It's a standard rule in logarithm. All right. No matter the logarithm you have, is if it's log to the base 10 of 5 equals to 7, for example, what this simply means is that if you take this base and push it up here, that is 10 raised to the power 7 is equals to 5. So we are going to use that same sense in solving this question. So if log to the base 3 of 2x minus 1 is equals to 5, what it simply means is take this 3, use it to push this 5 upwards, right? Something like this. So it means that 3 raised to the power 5 is equals to 2x minus 1. What is 3 raised to the power 5? That is the same thing as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 into 5 places, which is 243. Is equals to 2x minus 1. So when you collect like terms, you move this minus 1 over to the other side. It becomes 243 plus 1 is equals to 2x. So that means that 2x is equals to 244. All right. So you divide both sides by 2. You have that x is equals to 122, which is option D. All right, let's look at question number 9. It says the population of a town increases by 3% every year. In the year 2000, the population was 3,000. Find the population in 2003. So I'm going to have a table like this for the year and then the population. So this is the year 2000. All right. In the year 2000, we are told that the population was 3,000. All right. And the population increases by 3% every year. So which means by the next year, 2001, the population has increased by 3%. So what is 3% increase of the 3,000 persons we had before? 3% increase of the 3,000 persons we had before, that's the same thing as 3 over 100 times 3,000. That will tell us the number of persons that 3% increase represents. When you cancel the zeros, you are left with 3 times 30, which is 90 persons. So we have 90 persons extra in the year 2001. So which means the total persons in 2001 is these 90 persons plus the 3,000 persons that were there before. So we have 3,090 persons in 2001. But the question did not ask us to find the population in 2001. It's 2003. So we are going to have to keep going. So 2002, the next year, what we have there is it increased again by 3% because it increases every year 3%. So now I have 3% of 3,090, which is 3 over 100 times 3,090. All right. So when you solve this in your calculator, multiplying the numbers at the top, you are going to have 3. You are going to have 3 1, or rather, let me put that in my calculator. So 3 times 3,090 gives you 9,270. Sorry for the mix-up. 9270 all over 100. When you divide, you are going to have 92.7 persons extra, which is approximately, let's say, 93 persons. So if you add these 93 persons, all right, 93 persons plus the 3,090 persons that were there, you know how many persons are there in 2002. So 93 plus 3,090 gives me 3,183. All right. So finally, in the year 2003, I will increase it again by 3%. So what is 3% of the number I had before in 2002? That 3% would be equals to 3 over 100 times 3,183 persons. All right, which is equals to 9549 all over 100. So is approximately equals to 95 persons when you divide this. So these 95 persons, add them to the 3,183 persons in 2002. All right, and that tells you the total number of persons that you have in 2003. So 95 plus 3,183, that gives me 3,278, which is option B. All right, so we have question number 10. It says that a trader gave a change of 514 naira instead of 517 naira to a customer. Calculate the percentage error. All right, so we know that percentage error, the formula for percentage error is equals to error over the actual value times 100. So are we giving the actual value in this question? Yes, 517 naira is the actual value you're supposed to give. But what is error? We are not giving error directly. However, we are giving what we can use to calculate error. So we know that error, all right, is equals to the wrong value minus the actual value. So in this case, what's the wrong value? It was 540, all right? And then what was the actual value? It was 570. So he made an error of minus 30 naira. But in this case, we don't really need the negative. So we can say the error was 30. All right. So what then do we do? I'm going to impute this error into the formula here. So percentage error is equals to the error, which was 30, over the actual value, which was 570, times 100. Now I can punch my calculator, but since my answers are in fractions, let's try and divide. So 0 is going to cancel this 0 here. And I'm left with 30 times 10 over 57. I know 3 can go here 10. I know 3 can go here 19. All right. So this is equals to 100 over 19. So if I want to convert this improper fraction into a mixed fraction, because all my answers are in mixed fraction, I just simply need to divide. 100 divided by 19 is 5 whole number, remainder 5 out of the 19%, which is option A as the error. Question number 11. It says that the interior angle of a regular polygon is 168 degrees. Find the number of sides. All right. Now, I know that exterior angle exterior angle is equals to 360 over number of sides. I brought out this formula because I know there is number of sides in this formula, which is what I'm looking for. So if only there was a way for me to get my exterior angle, then I can easily solve for the number of sides. Well, I'm told from the question that the interior angle of this regular polygon is 168 degrees. And I know that in any regular polygon, the interior and the exterior angles are supplementary. That means they always add up to 180 degrees. So if the interior angle is 90 of any polygon, that means the exterior angle will always be what? 90, because they must add up to 180. If the interior angle is 10, the exterior angle will be 170. They always add up to 180. So in this case, we are told that the interior angle is 168. So I know that if I add the exterior angle, I must get 180. So if I solve for the exterior angle, I have exterior angle is equals to 180 minus 168, which is equals to 12 degrees. So now I've gotten my exterior angle. I can simply put it into this formula. All right. So exterior angle is 12 is equals to 360 over the number of sides which I'm looking for. So if I exchange these two places, n will be equals to 360 over 12, and 360 divided by 12 is equals to 30. So this polygon has 30 sides. Question number 12. It says if 3x minus 2y is equals to minus 5 and x plus 2y is equals to 9, then find x minus y over x plus y. Now, for me to be able to find x minus y over x plus y, I first need to know what x and y is, right? So I just need to solve now, all right? Solve this equation. So I have two equations that are to be solved simultaneously, all right? So I'm going to bring them out here. This 3x minus 2y equals to minus 5, and x plus 2y is equals to 9. All right. Now, I want to use elimination method. Why am I using elimination method? Because I can see that I have 2y. I have the same value. Even though the signs are different, they are the same. So I can use the elimination method. How? Since they are opposite sign, I can simply add the two equations together. So when I add equation 1 and add it to equation 2, somehow I'm going to eliminate that 2y, because minus 2y plus 2y is going to be equals to 0. So let's add the equations. 3x plus x is equals to 4x, and then minus 2y plus 2y is equals to 0. So y is eliminated. So I have 4x is equals to minus 5 plus 9 is equals to 4. So from here, if I divide both sides by 4, I can see that my x will be equals to 1. Now I can easily substitute x as 1 into, let's say, equation 2. I'm going to substitute it into this equation, that my x is equals to 1. So if I do that, I'm going to have 1 plus 2y is equals to 9. So it therefore means that 2y is equals to 9 minus 1, which is 8. So y will be equals to 8 over 2, which is 4. So now I have that my x is 1 and my y is 4. I can now easily solve the question. So let's proceed. X minus y over x plus y. What is x? X is 1. So that is 1 minus y is 4 all over x plus y, 1 plus 4. All right. 1 minus 4 is minus 3 over 1 plus 4 is 5. So the answer is minus 3 over 5. All right, let's look at question number 13. It says a variable w varies partly as m and partly inversely as p. Which of the following correctly represents the relation with constants k1 and k2? All right. So this question is simply telling you to read the question in English and convert English language to mathematics language. So let us go. Let's read the first sentence. A variable w. So I write my variable w varies. What's the sign for varies? That's the sign for varies. So it varies partly as what? M. And also that same variable w also still varies partly inversely, all right, as p. As far as it varies inversely, we're going to have a 1 over p, all right. So which of the following represents the relation? Now that I've gotten the signs, all I need to do is to introduce my constants k1 and k2. So for this first, I'm going to introduce K1 to the first part. So I'm going to have W is equals to K1 times M. All right. And then for the second one, I'm going to have W is equals to K2 times 1 over P. All right. So I have W equals to K1M, and also W is equals to K2 over P. Now, since it's a partial variation, if you add this part plus this part, then you get the whole variation. So the full relationship will now be W is equals to K1M plus K2 over P. All right. Looking at that, that is option C. All right, so let's look at question number 14. A cylindrical metallic barrel of height 2.5 meters and radius 0.245 meters is closed at one end. Closed at one end. Find, correct to one decimal place, the total surface area of the barrel. Now, what is the formula for total surface area? Normally, the total surface area of a barrel, let me draw the cylinder. So if I have a cylinder like this, forgive my drawing. All right, you know that a cylinder is basically composed of two circles, one at the top here, all right, one at the bottom, and also this cross-sectional area. So when you are told to find the total surface area, it means you need to find the area of this circle at the top, circle at the bottom, and this cross-sectional area. You add them together. That is why you have something like pi arrow squared is the area of the top, pi arrow squared is the area of the bottom, and then pi arrow h is this cross-sectional area. All right. So in this case, we are told that it is closed at one end. So it therefore means that one of these areas is closed. We cannot, or we will not calculate the total surface area of one of these areas. So let me assume that it's the top that is closed. So it therefore means that the pi arrow square here, we are not going to calculate it because it's closed. All right. So we are only going to calculate the surface area of this curved surface, this curved surface area, all right, which is given to us. We are given the height in the question, all right, and then would also find the area of this bottom that is open. Mind you, the cross-sectional area or the curved surface area is 2 pi arrow h, all right, not pi arrow h. So to find the total surface area of the barrel, it will be this area of, it will be the curved surface area plus the area of the one open ends. All right, I'm trying to make it make sense to you, so you don't just be about formulas. So what is curved surface area formula? 2 pi arrow h plus what is the area of the one open end? Pi arrow squared. So that's the formula we are going to be using to solve in this case. So I can even factorize to make it easier for me. I can factorize what is common, pi arrow into 2h plus r. All right, so that's the formula I'm going to use to solve for the total surface area of a cylinder with one end open and one end closed. So taking pi as 22 over 7, I'm going to have 22 over 7 times, what's my radius from the question? 0.245 into 2 height. The height is 2.5, so 2 times that height is 5 plus the radius is 0.245. all right, so we are making progress. So solving this, I'm going to have I'm going to multiply these first. 22 times 0.245 with my calculator. 0.245 gives me 5.39, all right, over 7 times, I'm going to expand this bracket, 5 plus 0.245 is 5.245. So if I multiply 5.39 times 5.245, all right, divided by 7, what I get is 4.038. So that's my answer. But I'm told to make it to one decimal place. So if it's to one decimal place, that means I'm only going to consider this first number here. All right. But since the next number after it is not up to 5, then this will remain as 0. So my answer is 4.0 meters squared, which is option C. All right, welcome to question number 15, a very simple question on change of subject formula. So we are told to make arrow, capital letter arrow, the subject of this relation. All right, because you have to be careful. You notice there's capital letter arrow and there's small letter arrow. So we are told to make this capital letter arrow the subject of everything. So when you are told to make something the subject of a formula or a relation, it means make it to stand alone. So it means whatever is disturbing this arrow, we are going to remove them from the easiest to the hardest. So if you look at it, arrow is inside a bracket. All right, it's dealing with something inside the bracket. But outside that bracket, there are some things we can first take care of, like this pi l. We can first take care of it. How do we do it? It's simply to divide. So if you divide through by pi l, all right, you are going to have v over pi l is equals to pi l into arrow squared minus arrow squared. So if you also divide this way by pi l, you see that the pi l this way will be cancelled. Our aim is to cancel or destroy anything that is preventing our capital letter arrow from standing alone. That's what it means to make something subject of the formula. And we always use the opposite of that thing that is disturbing our value. We always use the opposite of that thing to kill it. What I mean is, this pi l was multiplying the bracket here. If you can see it, pi l is multiplying our brackets. All right. So I use division, which is the opposite of multiplication, to kill that pi l, or to take it away to the other side. All right. So now what I have here is that v over pi l is equals to arrow squared minus small letter arrow squared. Now the next thing that is easy to remove that is disturbing our capital letter arrow is this small letter arrow squared. So since it is subtracting from our arrow squared, all I need to do is to add it. I'm going to add, I'm going to add arrow squared to both sides. All right. So we always use the opposite of that number or letter that we want to take away. Use the opposite of it to kill it. So since minus arrow square is disturbing my arrow square, I'm going to add plus arrow square to both sides. So this gives me v over pi l plus arrow squared is equals to arrow square minus arrow square plus arrow square. All right. So if you notice, these two are going to cancel each other. And what I'm left with, let me write my arrow square first. I'm left that arrow square is equals to v over pi l plus small letter arrow squared. So what's the last thing disturbing my arrow from standing alone? It is this square. So how do I kill a square? I use the opposite of a square. What is the opposite of a square? It's a square root. So you simply take the square root of both sides. Remember, for an equation to remain the same, whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So that is why anytime I divide, for example here, when I divided by pi l in this way, I also divided this side by pi l. All right. When I added arrow square this way, I also added arrow square this way. So whatever you do to one side of an equation, you must do to the other side. Okay. So that's why as I took the square root of the left hand side, I must take the square root of the right hand side. So in conclusion, my answer will be, if you take the square root of arrow square, you're left with just arrow, which is what we want, is equals to square root of v over pi l plus small letter arrow squared. All right, which is option A. All right, let's look at question 16. Question 16 is on logic, and we are given two statements. It says, let M mean that Edna is respectful, and letter N mean that Edna is brilliant. Now, if M to N, which of the following is valid? Now, this sign here means it's an if-then statement. All right, when you have M with this arrow to N, what it means, they are telling you that if M is the case, then N is also the case. All right. So what they are telling you in the question, from here, if you have to convert this logic, what they are telling you is that if Edna is respectful, all right, then she's also brilliant. That's the meaning of if M. This is an if-then statement. So if Edna is respectful, all right, then she is also what? Brilliant. So now they are telling you which of the following statements is valid. So let's look at the statements one by one. Let's look at the statements that we are giving one by one. Let me start from the end. All right. Let me start from the end. The end, I think there was a typographical error for this particular question. There is supposed to be a sign. Let me see if I can get it elsewhere here. There is supposed to be another sign that shows more clearly what it is. Yes, M to N. Okay. So there's a typographical error in option D because it's basically the same thing as the question. All right. So let's look at option C. This sign that you see here that looks something like this, it means not. All right. So option C is telling you that if Edna is brilliant, because that's what N stands for, that if Edna is brilliant, then she is not respectful. That's just false. Like that's not true. That's the opposite of what we've just learned. This means if she is brilliant, then she is not respectful. That makes no sense. All right. Now, what about option B? Option B says if she is not respectful, then she is not brilliant. All right. If she is not respectful, then she is not brilliant. Well, is that always the case? Not really. Sometimes a disrespectful person can be brilliant, so it's not always valid. All right. But let's look at option A. Option A says that if she is not brilliant, she is not respectful. All right. So if you look at it, it is basically the same way of saying this statement. This statement says if she is respectful, then she is brilliant. So it therefore means that if she is not brilliant, then she's not respectful. It's an inverse way of saying something. So this option A is what is valid in terms of is what represents this statement in another form. All right. Question number 17 says a number is added to both the numerator and the denominator of the fraction 1 over 8. Now, if the result is 1 over 2, find the number. All right. So let's write the fraction first of all. 1 over 8. We are told the number is added to both the numerator and the denominator. So let's assume that number is x. So let's add. So you have 1 over 8 plus x adding to the numerator and also x added to the denominator, and it became 1 over 2. So find the number x. So what we need to do is to solve this fraction equation. So first of all, I'm going to cross multiply, and I have that 1 plus x times 2 is equals to 8 plus x times 1. So if I open this bracket, I have 2 plus 2x is equals to 8 plus x. When I collect like terms, 2x minus x is equals to 8 minus 2. So x is equal to 6. Alright, let's look at question 18. It says that Gifty, Justina, and Frank shared 60 oranges in the ratio 5:3:7. How many oranges did Justina receive? Now, if you look at Justina, she is the second person here. So it means the second ratio is for her. So how do you solve ratio? To get her ratio, all you need to do is her own ratio, which is 3, all over the total ratio. So I'm going to add 5 plus 3 plus 7. If you add that, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 7 is 15. So 3 all over 15 times the total number of whatever they are sharing. In this case, what they are sharing is 60 oranges. So times 60. All right. So when you solve this, 15 will go into 60 4 times. So you are left with 3 times 4, which is 12 oranges. So Justina received 12 oranges. So question number 19 says find the quadratic equation whose roots are 2 over 3 and minus 1. So anytime you are told to find a quadratic equation and you are given the roots, you apply the general formula s squared minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta, where alpha and beta are the roots. So this will be my alpha and the second one will be my beta. So let us proceed. So that gives me x squared minus alpha plus beta means 2 over 3 plus minus 1, which is going to be minus 1. All right, x plus alpha beta, that means 2 over 3 times minus 1. So this gives me x squared minus 2 over 3 minus 1 is minus 1 over 3. All right, so minus 1 over 3x plus 2 over 3 times minus 1 is minus 2 over 3. All right, so let me open the bracket. I have x squared minus minus will become plus 1 over 3x, and then plus times minus will become minus 2 over 3. So this is my quadratic equation, but then I want to multiply all through. All right, I'm going to multiply all through by 3 to cancel these fractions of 3. So you multiply all through by 3, multiplying everything, you are going to have 3x squared plus x minus 2 is equals to 0, which is option C. Now let's look at this question. A rod 44 meters long is bent to form a rectangle such that the ratio of the length to the breadth is 7:4. We are asked to find the breadth. Alright, so there is a rod, like a long piece of wood or metal, sorry, and it was bent to form a rectangle. So it was used to form a rectangle. So if you go around this rectangle, everything around this rectangle is still that same 44 meters, which means the perimeter of this rectangle is 44 meters. And we know the formula for perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times length plus breadth. Alright, so perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times length plus breadth, and in this case we know the perimeter will be the full length of the rod because the rod was used to form the full rectangle. So 2 times length plus breadth is equals to 44. Alright, so if I divide both sides by 2, it means that my length plus breadth will be equals to 44 divided by 2, which is 22 meters. Now the question told me that the ratio of the length to the breadth is 7:4. So that means if the length is 7x, for example, then it means that the breadth will be equals to 4x. That is the ratio. So I have that 7x of the length plus 4x of the breadth is equals to 2. Right? That's what I have here. Length plus breadth is 22. So 7x plus 4x is 22. Right? So if you know that this, 11x is equal to 22. Therefore, if you divide both sides by 11, x will be equal to 2. So find the breadth is what we have to do. So what I need to do is to compute 2 here for the breadth. So that means the breadth will be equals to 4 times 2, which is 8 meters. And if you see, it makes sense because if you put it 8 meters, 8 meters, and the length will be 7 times 2, which is 40 meters, 40 meters. Everything here will add up to 44. So the breadth is 8 meters. Alright guys, let's look at this question number 21. It's a little bit technical, but I believe we can solve it. So we are given this diagram. This is x here, and we are told that these lines mn from here to point M is parallel to KL. Alright, and then ML and KL, they intersect at x, and if mn is 12 centimeters, which is what we have here, 12 centimeters, and mx is 10 centimeters, this way is 10 centimeters, and the area of angle mxn, where is angle mxn? This is mxn. Alright, so the area of that triangle is 16 centimeters. We are told to find the area of triangle LXK. So this is LXK. Alright, so how do we go about solving this? We know that the formula for area of a triangle is half base times height. For this triangle, we are told to look for the area. We have the base, but we don't have the height. We have the base, which is here, 9 centimeters, but we don't have the height. The height is unknown. Alright, so we are looking for that height. Well, how do we get it? I think since I have a triangle that has more parameters down here, let's look at that triangle. If it's possible for us to use this triangle below, triangle MXN, if we can use information from it to get our information for that upper triangle. Remember, we are looking for the area of that triangle, but we do not have height for us to do the formula half base times height. Alright, so for this lower triangle, we are given we are given the base, we are not also given the height, but in the question we are given the area, which means that we might be able to solve and get for the height of this triangle MXN. So for triangle MXN, we know that area is equals to half base height. Alright, and the area was given to us as 16, which is equals to half times the base. The base is here 12 centimeters times height, which is what we are looking for. So if I multiply both sides by 2 to cancel this 1 over 2, If I multiply both sides by 2, I'm going to have that 32 is equals to 12 times height. So it means that our height is equals to 32 over 12. I can reduce this fraction by dividing both sides by 4. This will be 8 over 3. So I have that the height of this lower rectangle, triangle, sorry, is 8 over 3 centimeters. Now, how will it be useful? Well, since the question tells us that MN and KL are parallel, then we can say that these two triangles, this first one, all right, and this second one are similar triangles. They are similar triangles, which means we can compare their sides together. All right, we can compare a ratio of their sides. So I'm looking for the height of this particular triangle, so I can use it to solve for the area. So I would definitely need to add it in my comparison. So what I can say is that the height of this lower triangle here, which is 8 over 3. So the height 8 over 3 all over the height of this one I'm looking for at the top, which is H, is equal to the base, all right, of this lower one, all right, the base here, all over the base of the upper one, right, which is 9. So I just compared their heights. The ratio of their heights should be equal to the ratio of their bases. All right. So from here, all I need to do is to make H the subject of formula, and I can solve for my H. So what I have here is that if I make H subject of formula, I'm going to have H is equals to, if I cross multiply, I'm going to have 12 times H is equals to 8 over 3 times 9. All right. So if I divide both sides by 12, 12 will cancel here, and the dividing by 12 will come here. All right. So from here, I can easily solve for my H. If you cancel out 3 here 1, 3 here is 3. So 3 here 1, 3 here is 4, and 4 here is 1, 4 here is 2. So my height is equals to 2 centimeters. Meaning, if you go back to this rectangle, this height that is here is 2 centimeters. So now I have my height and I have the base of that triangle, and I should be able to apply area of a triangle formula to be able to solve for the area of that triangle we are looking for. So if I look for the area will be equals to 1 over 2 times the base, which is given me in the question as 9. It's right here at the top, base of that triangle, times the height I just got, which is 2 centimeters. So if you cancel out 2, we cancel 2, the area is 9 centimeters squared. So this question tests your knowledge of similar triangles and of using where you have greater parameters to get unknown parameters. Question number 22 rather. It says a ladder 15 meters long leans against a vertical pole, making an angle of 72 degrees with the horizontal. Find, correct to 1 decimal place, the distance between the foot of the ladder and the pole. So let us have a visual representation of this question. So we have a ladder that is leaning against a vertical pole. So if this is our vertical pole, all right, pole P, a ladder is leaning against it. So let me draw a ladder leaning against it, all right. And we are told that this, let's say this is the ground level, all right. So we are told that this ladder makes an angle of 72 degrees, all right, when leaning against the wall. So we have an angle of 72 degrees, and we are also told that the length of the ladder is 15 meters. Find the distance between the foot of the ladder and the pole. So what they're asking us to find is the distance from this point where the ladder starts to point P where the pole is. So I'm going to call this distance X. All right. So we are going to make use of our knowledge of SOHCAHTOA. So if we look at this diagram we have, you notice that we have the hypotenuse, all right, which is this 15. We also have the angle, and we are looking for the adjacent, which is the distance. So which of those properties from SOHCAHTOA, which of them connects adjacent and hypotenuse? is obviously the car. All right, so we are going to be using cos theta. All right, so we know that cos theta is equals to adjacent all over hypotenuse. So in this case, the theta is 72 degrees. So cos 72 is equals to adjacent, which is our x that we are looking for, all over the hypotenuse, which is 15. So basically, x is equals to 15 times cos 72. So when you punch your calculator, you see that cos 72 is equals to 0.3090. So it therefore means, going this way, that x is equals to 15 times 0.3090, which is equals to 4.6395 meters. The question says we should find to one decimal place. All right, so to one decimal place, I only need one decimal point. If you look at the next number after it, it's not up to 5. So that means I'm going to cut everything away straight away, and I'm not going to increase it by 1 because the next number is not up to 5. So my answer is 4.6 meters. Option D. Welcome to question number 23. We are told that in a circle with center O, all right, we have this circle, this is the center O. Now, if OA is 25 centimeters, which we can see here from O to A is 25 centimeters, and AB is 40 centimeters, from A to B is 40 centimeters, find OH. So we are looking for this line, OH, all right? So we are given 25 centimeters, 40 centimeters. So obviously, if this is 40 centimeters, we know that half from here to here will be half of that, which is 20 centimeters. All right, and we are told it's a right angle triangle. So I'm going to bring out one half of this triangle. All right, so I have this triangle, I'm bringing it out. This 25 centimeters, this is the point O, the center of the circle. This is point A, and this is point H. So I brought that triangle OAH, and as I've explained, here is 20 centimeters because it's half of the full length. If I'm told to find OH, since it's a right angle triangle, I simply make use of Pythagoras rule, which tells me that the hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of the other two sides squared. So I have 25 squared is equals to OH squared plus 20 squared. All right, so 25 squared is 625 is equals to OH squared plus 20 squared is 400. So when I subtract, OH squared is equals to 625 minus 400. So OH squared is equals to 225. Taking the square root of OH squared, all right, I'm going to square root 225 also. It means OH is equals to 15 centimeters. Option A. Welcome to question number 24. It says a car valued at $600,000 depreciates by 10% each year. What will be its value at the end of 2 years? All right, so depreciation is the reduction in the value of a product as time goes on. So that is why when you want to sell some items second hand, they definitely are not going to be sold at the same price you bought it because of time has passed and it has worn out. So that's the meaning of depreciation. So the car was valued at $600,000, but after a year it reduces by 10% in value. The next year it also reduced by 10%. So how much will it be worth after 2 years? So we simply need to know what 10% of 600,000 is to know how much it has reduced at the first year. So for the first year, all right, we need to know 10% reduction means 10% of $600,000 means what? 10% is 10 over 100 times $600,000. So when you cancel out, you have 10 times 6,000, which is $60,000. So that 10% reduction in the first year means it has lost $60,000 in the first year. What is now the new value? The new value will be $600,000 minus $60,000, which is $540,000. All right, so this is how much, this is the new value at the end of the first year. But we are asked what is the value at the end of 2 years. So it's going to reduce again by another 10% because we are told it reduces by 10% each year. So we are going to reduce this 540,000 by another 10%. So in the second year, we are still going to reduce by 10%. So 10% of now 540,000, because that's now the new value. It's no longer worth 600,000. 10% of 540,000 is equals to 10 over 100 times 540,000. All right. So when you cancel out 10 here, 10 here, you are left with $54,000. So $54,000 is the value that has gotten off the price. So for you to know the new value, you are going to minus it. So $540,000 minus the $54,000, which stands for the 10% depreciation. When you subtract this in your calculator, you are going to have $486,000. So at the end of 2 years, the car has depreciated in value from $600,000 to $486,000. All right, let's look at this question. On bearing, it says point P is 25 meters on a bearing of 330 degrees from point Q. How far south of P is Q? Now, you are given point P and point Q, but it is from point Q that you can easily tell, oh, how many degrees am I going to turn to know where point Q is, point P is. So what that means is I'm going to start from point Q and I'll calculate a bearing of 330 degrees. When I calculate 330 degrees from point Q, that shows me the direction point P is. All right. So let's say this is point Q. All right, point Q, and point P, I don't know where it is right now, but using my compass, all right, I know that this is, of course, this is north, this is the south, this is east. All right. So if this is three-figure bearing, so I'm going to always start from the north and I'm going to move in a clockwise direction. And I know that each quadrant is 90 degrees. That is, from the north to the east completely is 90. From here to here is another 90. Here to here, that is to the west, is another 90. So I have turned 90 plus 90 plus 90 is 270 degrees. So what is remaining to complete 330 degrees is another 60 degrees. So if you move 60 degrees from here, 60 degrees from here, something like this, you get your point P. And you are also told your point P is 25 meters away from it. So we know now that this angle here is 60 degrees, right? Because we've moved 270 before. From here to here is 270. And this is remaining 60 degrees. Now the question says, how far south of P is Q? All right. We know southward, that they're asking you how far south from here, that is, this is the direction of south. So how far south downwards do I have to go to see the distance between me and point Q? All right. We know point Q extends something like this. So they're asking you, what is the distance in a southwards direction between P and Q? So I'm going to call this my X. So bringing out this triangle I have very well, you see I have point P here and I have point Q. There is an angle of 60 degrees here. This is 25 meters and I'm told to find this distance. All right. So using my SOHCAHTOA, I know that cosine of an angle, cos theta, is equals to, or rather sine theta is equals to opposite, all right, over hypotenuse. All right. So moving over to this empty place, I know theta is 60 degrees. So I have that sine 60 is equals to opposite, which is the x, all right, the x I'm looking for, over the adjacent, which is it, or hypotenuse rather, which is 25 meters. All right. So from here it is easy to solve. It means that x is equals to 25 times sine 60. Punching your calculators, you see 0.860. Welcome to question number 26. It says that the length and breadth of a cubeboard are 15 centimeters and 8 centimeters respectively. Now, if the volume is 1,560 centimeters cube, find the total surface area. Now, what is the formula for total surface area? I know that total surface area of a cubeboard is equals to 2 into length times breadth plus length times height plus breadth times height. But if in the question I'm giving the length L as 15, I'm also giving the breadth as 8, but the height was not given. It wasn't given. However, I was given the volume. All right. So since I was given the volume, I should be able to calculate for my height, because volume of a cuboid is equals to length times breadth times height. Since I have the volume, I have the length and breadth, I should be able to solve for the height. It means that the height will be equals to the volume all over the length times breadth. So imputing what I have in the question, height will be equals to the volume, which is 1560, all over the length times breadth, all over 15 times 8. All right. So putting this in calculator, 15 times 8 is equals to 120. So I have 1560 divided by 120. All right. So 1560 divided by 120 is equals to 13 centimeters. So I'll be able to get my height as 13 centimeters. That's good. Now I can solve for the total surface area using the volume, because I have all the parameters now. So the total surface area will be equals to 2 into length times breadth, that's 15 times 8, plus the length times height, 15 times 13, plus the breadth times height, 8 times 13. All right. So this is 2 into 15 times 8 is 120, plus 15 times 13 is 195, plus 8 times 13 is 104. All right. So this is 2 into, when I sum up everything, I have 120 plus 195 plus 104. I get 419. All right. So the total surface area is equals to 2 times 419. So if when you multiply that by 2, you get 838 centimeters squared. Option B. Question number 27 is on number basis, and it says that the number 1621 was subtracted from 6244 in base x. Now, if the result was 4323, find x. Now, this question may be confusing to some persons, but it's actually easy. It involves your knowledge of number basis and your use of common sense. So let's go. Now, we are told that they subtracted 1621 from 6244, right? So I have this number 6244, and they subtracted 1621 from it, all in base x, and they got 4323. Now, all I need to do is to subtract. All right, let me perform the subtraction operation, and I'll be able to see when it is time for us to maybe borrow. Then you will know which base they are working on. First of all, I already know that since the highest number in this question is 6, the answers can only be from base 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. But if you look at the options, they are all in that particular base. So you can't really do guesswork here. Now let's proceed. Let's minus as if we know what the base is. Now let's proceed. So truly, when you have 4 minus 1 at the end here, it's really going to give you 3. No problems. All right. When you have 4 minus 2 here, it gives you 2. No problems. But when you have 2 minus 6, we know it cannot go. So we always borrow. And when we borrow, we always borrow from the next number. So in this case, we borrowed from 6 and it has become 5, right? No wonder 5 minus 1 gives 4 here. But this is the main place we are interested in, because it will help us get our base. Now, after borrowing 1 from it, we know when you're working in base 1, in base 10, anything you borrow will become that base. All right. So if you are working in base 10, if you borrowed 1, as you borrowed 1 and you bring it to this 2, it would have become 10. 10 plus 2, 12. If you are working in base 5, if you borrow 1 and you move it to the next guy, that one you borrow will become 5 because you're in base 5. All right. So since we are working in base x, that one we borrowed is x. So it means that if you add that number, that one we borrowed that has become x, plus this 2, then when you subtract this 6 that is supposed to subtract, minus 6, that's what gives us the 3 at the bottom here. I hope you are not confused. All right. So x is the base. So if you're working in base 10, it means what we borrowed, the one we borrowed will be 10. If it was base 3, it means the one we borrowed will be 3. So since we don't know the base, what we borrowed is x. Anytime you borrow, that one you borrowed will always be equal to the base that you are working in. So we have borrowed 1 from 6, it became 5. We added it to 2. So that one we borrowed is x, because that's the base. So x plus 2, then when you now subtract your 6, they gave us that the answer was 3 from the question. So I can easily solve this equation I have here. So x plus 2 minus 6 is minus 4. So I have x minus 4 is equals to 3. So it therefore means that x is equals to 3 plus 4. So x is equals to 7. In other words, this whole equation was performed in base 7. Let's look at question number 28. It says, factorize completely 27x squared minus 48y squared. So I'm told to factorize. Looking at it, are there any factors of these two sides? Is there anything that can go into 27x squared and also minus 48y squared? Yes, 3 is a common term. So I can bring out 3 from both sides. So if I bring out 3, that will be 3 into, then I will divide this 27 by 3. So that will be 9x squared minus, if I divide 48 by 3, that will be 16y squared. All right, so I'm progressing. Now if I look at these terms, 3, 9 and 16, I notice that they can also be expressed in terms of squares, because I know 3 squared is 9 and I know that 4 squared is 16. So let me replace 9 and 16 with 3 squared and 4 squared, so that everything inside my box is squared. So what I'm going to have is, I'm going to have 3 into 3 squared x squared minus 4 squared y squared. All right. So to also make it simpler, I will still factorize those squared. This is 3 into 3x all squared minus 4y all squared. All right. Now, if you notice these two terms, this term and this term, they are now squares. And what is in the middle is a subtraction. So this is what we call difference of two squares. And we know that when you have two squares, difference of two squares, maybe you have x squared being subtracted by y squared, the answer will be equals to x plus y, x minus y. It is standard, and you need to memorize it, all right? And also always know how to identify it in a question, all right? So from the beginning of this question, when I saw two squares and I saw a minus, my mind already went to difference of two squares, and all I had to do was to look for a way to make everything squared so that I can proceed with the formula. So this 3x now looks like my x, and this will be my y. All right, so now I can factorize further. Don't forget this 3 outside here, you keep writing it. So that's 3 into, now it's time for difference of two squares. So I'm going to have 3x plus 4y. So that is the first part. It corresponds to this place. That is x plus y. And then I open my brackets, write the same thing again, 3x, but I'll change the sign, minus 4y. All right. So this is the complete factorization of the question, which corresponds to option A. Question number 29. For what values of x is x minus 3 over 4 plus x plus 1 over 8 greater than or equal to 2? So it's basically a simple inequality. All you need to do is to, first of all, take care of the fractions. You are basically told to find x here. So take care of the fractions first. We have fractions, we have denominators 4 and 8. So what is the LCM of 4 and 8? The LCM of 4 and 8 is 8. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply both sides by 8. The reason we are doing that is to clear fractions. So I'm going to multiply the first side, which is x minus 3 over 4. I'm going to multiply it by 8. So 8 into x minus 3 over 4 plus 8 into x plus 1 over 8 is greater than or equal to 8 into 2. So you multiply all through, not only one side, by that LCM. So this is going to cancel out and give me 2. This will cancel out completely. So what I have is 2 into x minus 3 plus x plus 1 is greater than or equals to 8 times 2 is 16. When I open this bracket, I have that 2x minus 6 plus x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 16. Collecting like terms, 2x plus x is greater than or equals to 16 plus 6, because when I take this minus 6 over, it becomes plus, and then when I take this plus 1, it becomes minus 1. All right, so that will give me 2x plus x is 3x is greater than or equals to 16 plus 6 is 22 minus 1 is 21. So I divide both sides by 3, and what am I left with? X is greater than or equal to 7. Option C. Now let's look at question number 30. We have a diagram, and in that diagram we are given some angles, okay, and we are told to find the value of the angle marked y. All right, so this angle is what we are looking for, angle y. Now what do we have? Now there are one thing about psychogeometry is there are several ways to solve it, and the better you understand theorems, circle theorems, the easier and faster you can identify some things and move on. All right, looking at this question, I can straight up say the answer is going to be 112 degrees, but that was with a little calculation though. But let's break it down with the basic knowledge of theories. So the first thing I know is that the sum of angles in a triangle is 180 degrees, right? So I'm going to call this place, let me use another color, x, this angle here, x. So I know that x plus 52 plus 16 should be equal to 180 degrees, right? Which means x plus 52 plus 16 is 68 is equal to 180 degrees. So x will be equal to 180 minus 68 degrees, which is equal to 112 degrees. Now, this particular angle is actually equal to the opposite interior angle. This particular exterior angle is actually equal, this x is actually equal to the opposite interior angle, which is y. So straight up I can say that y is equal to 112 degrees. But if you find it difficult noticing exterior angles and then opposite interior angles, then you can decide to go through the long route. If this is 112, you know that angles in a triangle in a straight line is equal to 180. So let me call here z. This inner part, I'm calling it z. So I know that 112 plus z should give me 180 angles in a straight line, which means that my z is equals to 68 degrees. All right. Another thing you should now notice is that we have a cyclic quadrilateral here. You can see the quadrilateral. So when the quadrilateral has the four sides touching the circle, the four sides is a cyclic quadrilateral. And one property of a cyclic quadrilateral is that opposite angles are supplementary. In other words, any two angles that are opposite, they add up to give 180. So it therefore means that this z right here, if you add it plus this y, you are going to get 180. You see? So 68 plus y will give you 180. So if you solve for y again, you are going to get 180 minus 68, which is 112 degrees. So that is a longer journey if you are not able to identify opposite interior angles. But if you are able to identify exterior angles and opposite interior angles, you will see that you would immediately be able to recognize that this angle is an exterior angle and this is the interior angle that is opposite it. So they are going to be equal. Question number 31. We have a diagram and we are told that JKL is a tangent to the circle at point K. Now, if LKG is 38 and HIK is 87, we are told to calculate the value of the angle marked X. All right. So the first thing is a good knowledge of your circle theorems. So you can see that this line is a tangent as told in the question, and it makes an angle with this chord, all right, 38 degrees. We know that the alternate segment theorem tells me that the angle between a tangent of a circle and the chord is subtend is equals to the interior opposite angle. So this angle that is here, 38, is equal to this angle that is here, the opposite interior angle, 38 degrees. All right. So also, if this is a cyclic quadrilateral, what it means is that opposite angles, this angle and here, are supplementary. So therefore, What I mean by that is 87 plus whatever is here, I'm going to call it G, should give me 180. So if I subtract, it means that G is going to be 180 minus 87, which is 93 degrees. So I have this inner spot here as 93 degrees, 93. And from sum of angles in a straight line, I know that 93 plus y, if I call this place y, everything here should be equal to 180. Which means 180 minus 93 will give me my y, which is back to 87 degrees. So this point is also 87 degrees. All right, there's a circle theorem that connects them as well, but I'm trying to break it down to basic circle theorem knowledge, how you can still use it to get the same answer. So now that I've gotten this 87 degrees, sum of angles in a triangle is 180. So if I plus this plus x, I'll get 180. So 38 plus 87 plus x should give me 180 degrees. All right. 38 plus 87 is 125. So 125 plus x should be 180 degrees. So x is equals to 180 minus 125 degrees. X is equals to 55 degrees, which is option B. Now, let us look at this brain-racking question number 32. It says a cone and a cylinder are of equal volume. All right. The base radius of the cone is twice the radius of the cylinder. What is the ratio of the height of the cylinder to that of the cone? All right. So I'm going to use my blue marker to write the cylinder, red marker for the cone. They are of equal volume. So what's the formula for volume of a cone? Well, let me start with cylinder. Volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h, and I'm told that this volume is equal to the cone, which is 1 over 3 pi r squared h. I'm told that the volumes are equal, so I can equate these two. Mind you, the C is for cylinder and then the red is for the cone. Then I'm told that the base radius of the cone, that is the radius for the cone, is twice the radius of the cylinder. All right. So let me use another term to represent radius so that it's clear. Since we are told the radius of the cone is twice the radius of the cylinder, that means if the radius of the cylinder is x, for example, let's use x instead of radius, we'll use x. So that's pi x square h. What it means is that the radius of the cone will be twice. That means the radius of the cone will be 2x. So anywhere I see radius for cone, I'm going to put 2x. All right, because it's written in the question. So by x square h, x is now what I'm using for radius, is equals to 1 over 3 pi. Instead of arrow, I'm going to put what? 2x in brackets squared h. All right. So this is my cone and this is also my cylinder. So I can easily cancel out some terms that are familiar to both, like pi. I'm going to cancel out pi here. I'm going to cancel pi. All right. So what I have now is that x square h for my cylinder, x square h is equals to 1 over 3. If I open that bracket, I'll have 4x squared h. All right. Now, what does the question say we should do? It said, what is the ratio of the height of the cylinder to that of the cone? Pardon me, this is cone. I forgot to write it in red. So this is the cone and this is the cylinder. So what is the ratio of the height of the cylinder to that of the cone? So all I simply need to do now is to divide. But before I divide, I notice that even x squared can cancel out in both sides. So I have that the height of the cylinder is equals to 1 over 3 4 times height of cone. All right, height of cone. So this is height of cylinder, height of cone. So what is their ratio? All I need to do is to divide both sides. I'm going to bring this height of cone under height of cylinder. That is how to get height of cylinder ratio height of cone. All right. So is equals to what? Is equals to 4 over 3. That's what will be left here, because 1 over 3 times 4 is 4 over 3. So it therefore means that the height of the cylinder to the height of the cone is equals to 4 over 3 or 4 ratio 3. So that is my answer. Welcome to question number 33. We are given a shape, looks like a trapezium. All right. It says find correct to the nearest whole number the value of h in this diagram. All right, so we can see h here. We are told to find the value. You notice that h is not exactly the same as what is this way, 17 meters, because it has an added height. All right, it has an added height here, which I'm going to call x. So if only I can find this x, then my height will be equals to the x I found plus the 17 meters on the other side. So how do I find x? Well, I know that this part of the diagram is also 19 meters. So let me bring out this triangle I'm seeing. I'm seeing this triangle, the base here is 19 meters. I'm seeing this side that is longer as 20 meters. And I'm seeing this x that I'm looking for. Obviously, I can see it's a right angle triangle. All right. So I'm going to apply Pythagoras law here. This 20 is my hypotenuse. All right. So I know by Pythagoras 20 squared is equals to 19 squared plus x squared. So 20 squared is 400 is equals to 19 squared is 361 plus x squared. All right. So adding, or rather collecting like terms, I have that x squared is equals to 400 minus 361, which is 39. So x will be equals to square root of 39. And when I punch that in my calculator, square root of 39 gives me 6.245. All right. So now I have my x. I know what is here, 6.245. I just need to add it plus 17 and I get my answer. So 6.245 plus 17 plus the original 17 will give me my height, which is equals to 23.245. So to the nearest whole number, this is not up to 5. So to the nearest whole number, it's just 23 meters, which is option C. Question number 34 says, the gradient of the line joining points P and Q is -4. Find y. All right. So you notice that they did not give us the complete coordinates. That is why we are looking for y. All right. Now, what's the formula for gradient of a line? The gradient of a line M is equals to y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. That's the formula for gradient of a line. All right. Now, from this question, these are my x2, x1. This is x1 and y1. And this is my x2 and y2. All right. So always memorize it. That's how you read the coordinates. So the first one carries x and y, x1, y1. The second one is x2, y2. So I simply need to impute these parameters into the formula. All right. So the formula says y2 minus y1. What is y2? I can see y2 is y. I'm looking for it. All right. So, and I'm giving the gradient as -4. So in place of m, I'll put -4. So I have that -4 is equals to y2, which is y I'm looking for, minus y1. y1 is -8. That is minus 8. All over x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is 2. So -4 is equal to y plus 8 all over 1 minus 2 is -1. So I can cross multiply and I'll have that y plus 8 is equals to -4 times -1. So y plus 8 is equals to -4 times -1 is +4. All right. So collect like terms and y is equals to 4 minus 8. So y is equal to -4. Option C. Question number 35. We are given a diagram and we are told that in this diagram we have two parallel lines, which is PQ, all right, and also ROS. We are given some angles, 44 degrees, 50 degrees, and we are told to find angle WTX. WTX. So this is where we are looking for this angle. So how do I get it? Well, if you notice, this is a parallel line as we are told in the question. This is also a parallel line. And we have a line that cuts across the two of them, this line. So when a line cuts across like that, alternate angles are formed. So if I have a parallel line here, I have another parallel line here, and I have a line that cuts across that parallel line, the angle that is formed this way is always equal to this angle that's formed here. All right, so that's alternate angles that are formed. So what that tells me is that this angle, or this number I'm seeing here, this angle 44, is alternate to this angle here. So it means this angle TWX is 44 degrees as well, because it's equal. All right, so now I know from sum of angles in a triangle that 44 plus 50 plus call this my x is equals to 180 degrees. So 44 plus 50 degrees plus x should give me 180 degrees, angles in a triangle. So that's 94 plus x is equals to 180. So x is equals to 180 minus 94, which is equals to 86 degrees. Question number 36. Now the perimeter of a rectangular garden is 90 meters. Now if the width is 7 meters less than the length, then find the length. Okay, so we know that, let's say this is a rectangular garden. Perimeter means if you count the distance around this garden, is going to be 90 meters. All right, and we know that perimeter of a rectangle, the formula for perimeter of a rectangle is P for perimeter is equals to 2 into length times breadth. All right, so that's the formula for perimeter, or rather length plus breadth. All right, so we are also told from the question that the width or the breadth is 7 meters less than the length. So that means if the length is let's say L, that means the breadth or the width is equals to L minus 7, because it's 7 meters less. So I'm going to be putting L minus 7 in place of B in the equation. So perimeter, which I was given in the question as 90, is equals to 2 into length plus length minus breadth is now length minus 7 meters. All right, so 90 is equals to 2 into, if I open this bracket, I have length plus length minus 7. All right, so solving further, I have, let me erase this so we can see. So solving further, I have that 90 is equals to 2 into 2 length minus 7. All right, so opening the bracket, I have 2 times 2 times 2 lengths, that's 4L minus 14. Collecting like terms, 90 minus 14 is equals to 4L. So 90 minus 14 is equals to 76 is equals to 4L. All right, so dividing by 4, or rather plus here, sorry, I just noticed I made a mistake. When you move the minus over the other side, it's supposed to turn to plus. So 90 plus 14 is supposed to be 104. All right, so I'm going to now divide. So length, you divide by 4. So my length will be equals to, when you divide 104 by 4, you're going to get 26 meters. Option D. Question number 37 says, 4 of the angles of a hexagon sum up to 420 degrees. Now, if the remaining 2 angles are equal, find each of the equal angles. Now, the first thing is to know what is the total, what is the sum of angles that is inside a hexagon. That's the first question. Now, a hexagon has 6 sides, and the formula is n minus 2 times 180 should tell me the total number of angles I have inside that hexagon. So where n is 6, what I will now have 6 minus 2 times 180. All right, so that's 4 times 180, which is 720 degrees. So the total angles in a hexagon is 720 degrees. I'm already told that out of those 720, 4 of them are already worth 420 degrees. So all I need to do is to know the value of the main 2 angles. I will subtract 420 degrees from this, and that gives me 300 degrees. So since I'm told that the remaining 2 angles that are sharing this 300 degrees, they share it equally, I just need to divide 300 by 2. So each of those 2 equal angles is 150 degrees. Question number 38. We are given a figure and we are told to find the value of x in this diagram. All right, so x is located here. We are told to find it, and upon further inspection of this diagram, you can see something unique. You notice that there's a pair of parallel lines this way and this way being cut across by a line. Now, when you have a pair of parallel lines being cut across by a transversal, then the two angles, all right, that are formed here and here are supplementary. That is, they will always add up to give you 180 degrees. So if only there's a way for me to know what this angle at M is, then I can easily get my X, because if I add it, they should give me 180. But yes, there is a way to find out, because looking at this entire triangle, if you look at this entire triangle, you will notice something. So we are given, in this entire triangle, I have the value of this angle, I have the value of this angle. I'm looking for the value of this angle. So I know that sum of angles in a triangle, 65 plus 55 plus, I'll call it M, it should be 180. So 65 plus 55 is 120 plus M is equals to 180. So it means my M is 180 minus 120, which is 60 degrees. All right. So this very portion here is 60 degrees. And since it cuts across a parallel line, this very line is cutting across these two parallel lines, then this 60 degrees is supplementary to this X. That's what we call co-interior angles. Again, I have drawn it here, but when you have two parallel lines being cut across, then the angles here and here are supplementary. They will add up to give you 180. So this 60 degrees of angle M plus X, which I'm looking for, should give me 180. All right. So X is equals to 180 degrees minus 60 degrees. So S is equals to 120 degrees. Option A. All right, so question number 39 says the masses in kilogram of members in a club are 59, 44, 53, blah, blah, blah. Find the mean mass. All right, so how do I go about solving this? What is the formula for mean? I just need to sum all of them, all these masses, over the total number of masses we have. So that is 59 plus 44 plus 53 plus 49 plus 57 plus 40 plus 48 plus the last digit 50, right? Plus 50, all over the total number of digits there are. If you count, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over 8. So when you sum up, you are going to have 400 divided by 8, which is 50 kg. So the mean mass is 50 kg. Alright, so question number 40 says, using the data in question 39, find the variance of the distribution. So this is the data in question 39. We are given the masses of some members of a club. Alright, so we are told to find the variance of that distribution. Now, what's the formula for variance? The formula for variance is equals to summation of x minus x bar all squared over n. Alright, where x bar is the mean, and in our previous question we had gotten our mean to be 50 kg. All right, so our x bar is 50 kg. So I'm going to draw a table, all right, which contains x and also contains the x minus the mean x bar, and then I'm then going to have another table for x minus x bar all squared. All right, so for x is all these values, all these masses, 59, 44, and all of that. I'm going to have them in my x column. So let's write that out. I have 59, 44, 53, 57, 49. Let me extend this table. 40, 48, and 50. So these are my x. So x minus x bar, that means I'm going to be subtracting 50 from each of these items in the first column. So 59 minus 50, that's 9. 44 minus 50 is minus 6. 53 minus 50 is 3. 57 minus 50 is 7. 49 minus 50 is 1. 40 minus 50 is minus 10. 48 minus 50 is minus 2. And 50 minus 50 is 0. So For the third part of the column, x minus x bar all squared. I just need to square the results I have in this column. All right. So my x minus x bar will be 81. This is 36. 3 squared is 9. 7 squared is 49. Minus 1 squared is 1. Minus 10 squared is 100. Minus 2 squared is 4. And 0 squared is 0. So the formula says sigma x minus s bar all squared. This sigma means summation. So I'm going to sum up everything I have in this column. That's my sigma of the column. So if you sum up everything I have at this column, I'm going to arrive at 280. All right. So 280 over n. N is the number of variables I have here. So if you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is going to be 280 divided by 8 is my variance. So when you put that in your calculator, you are going to get the variance as 35, which is option A. Alright, so let's do question number 41. It says two opposite sides of a rectangle are 5x plus 3 meters and 2x plus 9 meters. If an adjacent side is 6x minus 7 meters, find the area of the rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to draw a diagram of what that rectangle is going to look like. All right. So if I have this rectangle, we are told that two opposite sides. One side is 5x plus 3 meters, and the other side is 2x plus 9. And then we are told that the other side is 6x. All right, 6x minus 7. Find the area. Now I know that the area is length times breadth, but we have values in x which we have to take care of first. Now, one of the properties of a rectangle is that opposite sides are equal. So this side is equals to this side. So I'm going to have that as my first equation. So I have 2x plus 9 is equal to 5x plus 3. This will help me to get my x. So when I collect like terms, I have 9 minus 3 is equals to 5x minus 2x. So 6 is equal to 3x. All right. So it means that my x is equals to 6 divided by 3, which is 2. All right. So I have my x as 2. All right. So with that, I will be able to impute x as 2 in each of these sides. I can choose any side because it's equal. One side here and one side here. I'll put x as 2 in each of them. So for the first side, if I put s as 2 here, I'm going to have 5 times 2 plus 3. So that is equals to 10 plus 3. So the first side is 13 meters. And for the second side, I have 6x minus 7. So that will be 6 times 2 minus 7, which is 12 minus 7, which is 5 meters. So I have the two sides now. This side is 5 meters and this side is 12 meters. So find the area of the rectangle. Area is length times breadth. So 12 times 5 is equal to 65 meters, which is option B. A die is tossed once. Question number 42. Find the probability of getting a prime number. All right. So first of all, what is a prime number? A prime number is a number that is divisible only by 1 and itself. So it only has two factors, which is 1 and itself. So in a die, what are the possible numbers I can have in a die? I can either have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So which of these options are prime numbers? Well, 1 is not a prime number because it only has one factor, which is 1. 2 is a prime number because it only has two factors, which is 1 and 2. So I have my first prime number 2. 3 is a prime number because it's only divisible by 1 and 3. So I'm going to have my second prime number. 4 is not a prime number because it's divisible by more than two factors. 1, 2, and 4. Alright, so I'm not going to write it. 5 is a prime number. It's only divisible by 1 and 5 itself. 6 is not a prime number because it is divisible by 1, 2, 3, and 6. So I only have 3 possible options that can satisfy this required outcome. So only 3 numbers can be prime out of the total of 6 numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the probability of getting a prime number is 3 out of 6. So its simplified fraction is equal to 1 over Question number 43 says that the area of a sector of a circle with radius 7 centimeters is 51.3 centimeters squared. Find, correct to the nearest whole number, the angle of the sector. Now I know that the formula for area of a sector A is equal to theta over 360 times my pi arrow squared. Alright, so from the question, I'm giving pi as 22 over 7. I'm giving the radius, I'm giving the area. All I need to do is to make theta the surrogate of the formula, and I'm going to get the angle of the sector. Alright, so from this I have area as 51.3 is equals to theta all over 360 times 22 over 7 times 7 times 7. Alright, so if I simplify this equation, 7 will cancel 7. So what I'm left with is that 51.3 is equals to theta times, I have 22 here times 7. 22 times 7 is 154 all over 360. Alright, so this means if I cross multiply, I'm going to have 360 times 51.3 is equals to 154 theta. Alright, so it therefore means that theta is equals to 360 times 51.3 all over 154. Alright, so when I punch into my calculator, 360 times 51.3 gives me 18,468 divided by 154. So when I divide that by 154, what I have is 119.99 degrees, which is approximately 120 degrees. Option B. Question number 44. It says that a cliff on the bank of a river is 87 meters high. Alright, and a boat on the river is 22 meters from the cliff. Find, correct to the nearest degree, the angle of depression of the boat from the top of the cliff. Okay, so let's first say we have the cliff here. Alright, this is the cliff and it is 87 meters high. Now we have a boat on the river that is 22 meters away from the cliff. So from the cliff to the boat is 22 meters. Alright, then I'm going to find the angle of depression of the boat from the top of the cliff. So if this is the top of the cliff, top T, what is the angle of depression of the boat? Now I can draw this imaginary line here as the straight line point of view of the top of the cliff. Then what is the angle of depression? That is, what is the angle that the person has to turn down? If a person is looking from the top of the cliff, what is the angle the person has to turn down to be able to sight the boat B that's here? Alright, so this angle theta is what we are looking for. How far down do you have to bring your eyes? If you are at the top of this cliff, how far down do you have to bring your eyes so that you'll be able to see the boat? Now I know that this angle theta is also equal to this angle that is here. Alright, because they are alternate angles, so they are equal. So I can simply use the laws of SOHCAHTOA to find out what the angle of depression will be. So if you look at this, I have this angle theta opposite something and adjacent to something. So I can use tan, because tan theta is equals to opposite, alright, all over the adjacent. So since I have that tan theta is opposite over adjacent, that means tan theta in this case is equals to, the opposite is 87 all over 22. Alright, so if I punch that in my calculator, 87 over 22, tan theta will be equals to 3.9545. It therefore means that theta is equals to the tan inverse of 3.9545. So when I punch my calculator for tan inverse of 3.9545, I get 75.81 degrees, which is approximately equal to 76 degrees. So this angle of depression here is 76 degrees, option A. Let's look at question number 45. We are given a diagram not drawn to scale, and in the diagram we are told that this TU is a tangent. This line is a tangent to the circle. Alright, this is point P. So if PTS is 44 degrees right here, I have 44 degrees here, and SQP is 35 degrees. Find PST. All right. So what is the rule? When you have a tangent making touching a circle, a tangent to a circle, then the angle between that tangent and any chord, like this particular chord, the angle that is formed between the tangent and this chord, this angle right here, is equal to the interior opposite angle. All right. So this particular angle is equal to this opposite angle here, this angle SQP. So here is also 35 degrees. All right, this is 35 degrees. So I'm told to find angle PST, all right, which is this place in particular. So I know from sum of angles in a triangle that 44, which is here, plus 35 plus this angle, I'll call it X, is equals to 180. So 44 plus 35, that should be 79 plus X is equals to 180. So X will be equals to 180 minus 79. So X is equals to 101 degrees. Option A. The probability that Amaka will pass an exam is 3 over 7. And the probability that Bala will pass is 4 over 9. Find the probability that both will pass. So they are telling you to find the probability that both Amaka and Bala will pass. We know when we have two events happening at the same time, the probability of them happening at the same time, we are going to multiply. All right. When we want the two to happen at the same time. All right. So Amaka is passing and Bala is also passing. It's times. So all I need to do is I'm going to multiply the probability of Amaka passing, which is 3 over 7, times the probability of Bala passing, which is 4 over 9. All right. So 3 will go here 1, 3 here is 3. So that leaves me 4 over 7 times 3, which is 4 over 21. So option B is the correct answer for this question. So question number 47 says, which of the following points lie on the line 3x minus 8y equals to 11? Now, if any of these points should lie on the line, that means that the x and y coordinates of it, if you put those values into this equation, it should really be equals to 11. So this question is something like a try and error method. So you can be putting the options into the question one by one to see if it's valid. So for this option A, where you have x as 1 and y as 1, if I put x as 1 and y as 1 into this equation, 3x minus 8y equals to 11. If I put x as 1 here, that will be 3 times 1, which is 3 minus 8 times 1 is 8. 3 minus 8 is not 11. It's not equals to 11. So option 1 is not correct. All right. So what about option 2, B, which says, let me put s as 1 and y as minus 1. So that will be 3 times 1 minus 8 times minus 1, which is 3 times 1 is 3, minus 8 times minus 1 is plus 8. So 3 plus 8 is really 11. So that means option B is correct. If you should try it with the other options, you will not get 11 as well, because only one of them is going to satisfy it from the way the question is shaped. So it's a very simple case of try and error using the objective options that you have. Whichever one satisfies the equation is a point on the line. Find the range of the following numbers. Now we are given a set of numbers and we are told to find the range. Now what is the formula for range? Range is simply the highest number in the set minus the lowest number. So all I need to do is look at this set of numbers. What is the highest number here? 39 is the highest number. So look at it again. What is the lowest number? 15 is the lowest number. So the range is 39 minus 15, which is 24. Option B. Welcome to question number 49. It says that the fourth and the eighth terms of an arithmetic progression are 16 and 40 respectively. Find the common difference. All right. I know that the formula for nth term of a sequence is a plus n minus 1d. So the fourth term, u4, will be equals to a plus 4 minus 1d, which is a plus 3d, right? And the eighth term, u8, will be equal to a plus 8 minus 1d, which is a plus 8d. So I'm told from the question that this fourth term is equals to 16 and that the eighth term is equals to 40. So I have a simultaneous equation which I'm going to rewrite here for clarity. So a plus 3d is equals to 16 and a plus 8d is equals to 40. So I can subtract equation 2 from equation 1. And when I subtract, my a is cancelled. I have 3d minus 8d giving me minus 5d. Alright. And then I have 16 minus 40. So, sorry. When I have 8 minus 1d here, it's supposed to be 7d. Yes, I just noticed that error. So 7d is what I'm supposed to have here. Alright. So 3 minus 7 is actually minus 4. Alright. That's minus 4d. Alright. Is equals to 16 minus 40 is minus 24. So I'm going to divide both sides by minus 4 such that minus 4 cancels here. D is equal to 6, which is option B. For what values of y is y plus 2 over 8y squared minus 10y plus 3 not defined? Now, for a fraction x over y to be not defined or undefined, it simply means that the denominator y must be equal to 0. So what this question is asking you is to equate this denominator to 0 and tell us what values you get. So we have 8y squared minus 10y plus 3 equal to 0. So if you notice, we have a quadratic equation. All right. So let us factorize this quadratic equation. So I have 24y squared. So let me think, what two numbers can I multiply to give me 24y squared? I know it's going to be 6y and also 4y, which if I add up, they will give me minus 10. So since it's minus 10, minus 6y minus 4y will give me minus 10. So I'm going to substitute this. Instead of minus 10y, I'm going to have these values. All right. So let's write the rest of it. This is 8y squared minus 6y minus 4y plus 3 is going to be equal to 0. So when I take out what is common here, 2y is common here, I factorize it. It will be left with 4y minus 3. And then minus 1 is common here. I'll be left with 4y minus 3 equal to 0. So when I factorize, I have that 2y minus 1 is equals to 0, or 4y minus 3 is equals to 0. All right. Now moving up here, 2y minus 1 equals to 0, or 4y minus 3 equals to 0. So I'm going to make y the subject of formula in each of them. So 2y is equals to, if I move minus 1 over, it becomes plus 1. And then 4y is equals to 3. So y will be equals to 1 over 2, and then y will also be equals to 3 over 4. Looking at that, option C satisfies the equation.